Hello and welcome to day 21 of our Bible Made Easy for Kids reading. It's by Dave Strahler. We are going to be starting on page 181. It's day 22 of the reading, and it's day 21 of Lent. I would do real quick before he runs off. This is our cat. This is one of our cats. His name is Bay. Shut Bay. I have him under a blanket right now, so he's warm. All right, we'll start on page 181, God's miracles through Elisha. One day, the leaders of the town of Jericho said to Elisha, "We have a problem. This town is beautiful, and it has been built in a good place, but the water here is bad, and nothing seems to grow in the ground." So Elisha said, "Bring me a new bowl with salt in it." So they brought it to him. Then Elijah went to the spring of water that was bad and threw in the salt, saying, "This is what the Lord says. I have made this water pure. There will be no more death or unfruitfulness from this water." And the water became pure, just as Elisha had said. The wife of one of the prophets came to Elisha and said, "My husband has died. He was one of your servants, and he honored the Lord. A man whom he owed money is coming to take my two boys as slaves." Elisha asked her, "What do you have in your house?" "I have nothing at all," she said, "just a little flask of oil. Go ask your neighbors for jars. Collect as many as you can. Then go inside your house and shut the door. Pour the oil into the jars and put the full ones on one side." So the woman did as she was told. Her sons kept bringing her jars, and she filled one jar after another. Soon all the jars were full. Then the oil stopped flowing. Then Elisha told her to go and sell the oil and pay her debt with the money. God's miracles through Elisha, part 2. Elisha went to Gilgal, a town in the area where there was a famine. A group of prophets lived there. As Elisha was meeting with the prophets, he said to his servant, "Cook some stew in the large pot for these men." One of the prophets went out into the field to collect some herbs for the stew. He found a wild vine and picked some of the fruit. He cut it into the pot of stew, not realizing that it was poisonous. When the stew was served and the men tasted it, they said to Elisha, "There is poison in this stew," and no one would eat it. Elisha said, "Bring me some flour." He threw it in He threw it into the pot and said, "Now it is all right. Serve it to the people." And there was good food to eat, and it did not harm them. One day, the group of prophets said to Elisha, "As you can see, the place where we met with you is too small. Let us go down to the Jordan River, where there is plenty of wood for us to build a new place." So Elisha and the prophets went. So Elisha and the prophets went to the Jordan and began cutting down trees. As one of the prophets was using an axe, the axe head came off off the handle and fell into the water. "Oh, sir," he cried, "I borrowed an axe from someone." "Where did it fall?" Elisha asked. So the man showed him the place where it had dropped in. Then Elisha cut a stick and threw it into the water at that spot. Immediately, the axe head floated to the surface, and the man was able to reach out and grab it. A commander is healed. Naaman, commander of the king of Aram's army, was a great man and highly respected, but he had leprosy, a skin disease. At that time, raiders from Aram had invaded Israel and taken some of the people as slaves. Among them was a young girl who became the servant of Naaman's wife. One day the girl said to her mistress, "If only my master would go to the prophet in Samaria, he would heal him of leprosy." When Naaman heard what the girl had said, he went and told the king, and the king told him to go see the prophet. So Naaman, together with some of his servants, set off on their journey. They first went to see the king of Israel, but the king couldn't help him and became upset, thinking that the king of Aram wanted to pick a fight with him. When Elisha heard about Naaman, he sent a message to the king saying, "Send Naaman to me and know that there is a true prophet in Israel." When Naaman got to to the house where Elisha was staying, Elisha told him, "Go wash yourself in the Jordan River 7 times, and you will be healed." But Naaman went away angry and said, "I expected him to wave his hand over the leprosy, and I would be healed. Surely I could have washed in the rivers near Damascus." Naaman's servants tried to reason with him. "Sir, if the prophet had asked you to do something difficult, would you not have done it? So why don't you just do this simple thing?" So Naaman took his servant's advice and dipped himself in the Jordan River 7 times. When he came up out of the water, his skin was as healthy as the skin of a child. Children serving God. The Bible shows us that God can and does use young children in special ways. Children are often an example to grown-ups because of their humble, believing hearts. See Matthew 18:2-4. Here are some examples. Helping. Samuel in the temple. See 1 Samuel 3:1. From a very young age, Samuel helped Eli with everyday duties in the temple. You can be helpful in small ways at home, at school, or at your church. Ask your parents and teachers if there is anything you can do to help them. Telling others. The servant girl. Naaman's servant girl had great faith and was bold enough to tell his wife about the prophet in Israel. Even if you are young, you can tell others about the power of God to answer prayer, and about his love for them. Giving. A boy with some bread and fish. You may not have much to give, and you probably don't owe much, but neither did the young boy who gave all he had to Jesus, his lunch. When we are kind to others, it is as if we are doing the act of kindness to the Lord. And when we share, it is like giving to him. Worshipping God, praising children. When Jesus came to the temple area, children started praising him, saying, "Hosanna to the Son of David." The Lord delights in the praises of those who love him. Whether you pray, sing praise songs, say Bible verses, or simply shout out with excitement at the thought of God's love, you are worshiping him. Jonah. Jonah was a prophet of the Lord. One day the Lord said to Jonah, "Go to the great city of Nineveh and tell the people that I am going to judge them for their wickedness." But Jonah ran away from the Lord. He went in the opposite direction towards the sea and found a ship leaving for Tarshish. Tarshish. He paid the fare and got on board, hoping to escape from the Lord. But the Lord sent a powerful wind that made huge waves come up. The sailors were worried that the ship would break apart, so they shouted to their gods to help them, then started throwing the cargo overboard to make the ship lighter. Meanwhile, Jonah lay fast asleep in the lower part of the ship. So the captain went down to him and said, "How can you sleep at a time like this? Get up and pray to your God. Maybe he will save us." Then the sailors cast lots to find out which of them was responsible for the storm. The lots pointed to Jonah, so they started asking him all sorts of questions. Jonah told them that he served the living God, the creator of the land and sea, and that he was running away from him. This made all the sailors really worried, and they asked, "So what should we do?" "Throw me into the sea, and the waters will be calm." "I know that the storm is all my fault," Jonah said. The sailors were afraid of what would happen if they threw God's servant into the sea. But when the storm got worse, they picked him up and threw him over the side. The storm stopped at once, and the sea became calm. Down and down Jonah went into cold, dark water, where seaweed wrapped around his head. But God had prepared a special fish, a huge fish, which came along and swallowed Jonah. He was inside the fish for 3 days and nights. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to God and asked him to be merciful and save him. Then the Lord commanded the fish to spit Jonah out onto dry land. God again told Jonah to go to Nineveh, and this time Jonah went and he preached there. On the first day, Jonah told the people, 40 more days and Nineveh will be destroyed. The people there believed God. And to show how sorry they were, they started fasting and covered themselves with scratchy claws. When God saw how sorry they were for their sinful ways, and that they stopped doing their evil deeds, he changed his mind and it did not destroy the city. However, Jonah was very upset because the Lord was so merciful to a heathen nation. Also, he was a prophet of the Lord, had had said. Also, he, the prophet of the Lord, had said that something would happen, and now it wasn't going to happen. So he went to a place east of the city and sulked. Then the Lord made a vine grow up over Jonah, and Jonah was glad for the shade it gave him. But the next day a worm chewed the vine, and it died. And it was so hot that he grew faint. This made Jonah even more upset. Then the Lord said to him, "You have no right to be angry. You feel sorry about this vine which you did not plant. Should I not feel sorry for the thousands of children, in this great city?" God's people become slaves again. The people God loved had the people God loved and had saved from being slaves in Egypt turned away from him and followed their own sinful ways. God sent many prophets to warn them not to worship other gods and to turn back to him. But the people would not listen and carried on worshiping the gods of the heathen nations. So the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them from his presence. Only the tribe of Judah was left, and even Judah did not keep the commands of their Lord God. God was no longer going to protect them, so this is what happened. Israel, the northern kingdom, was conquered by the Assyrians, and the Israelites were taken as slaves to the country of Assyria. Hoshea was the king of Israel at that time. He was evil, like the kings before him, and was the last king of Israel. Judah, the southern kingdom, was conquered by Babylonians, and the people of Judah were taken as slaves to the country of Babylon. The Babylonians broke down the temple, the palace, and all the houses in Jerusalem. They also broke down the strong wall that was around the city Jerusalem. Some of the poorest people were left behind in Judah to work in the vineyards and farmlands, but they were ruled over Nebuchadnezzar, Chad, Nebu, Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar. Thank you. We're gonna go with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. Zedekiah was the king of Judah at the time. He was evil like the kings before him, and he was the last king of Judah. But the Lord was gracious and promised that he would bring the people back to their land after 70 years. God's people in Babylon. The Lord had allowed his people to be taken away from their land to a faraway country called Babylon. Many prophets had warned the people to stop worshipping idols and other gods and to stop doing evil, but the people did not listen to them, and they didn't turn back to God. While they were in Babylon, their masters teased them and told them to sing joyful songs. But the people were sad when they remembered the songs of praise they used to sing. They were no longer in the land that the Lord had given them, and they were no longer able to go to the temple of the living God. This is what they had. This is what they said. This is Psalms 137, 1 through 4. By the rivers of Babylon we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. There on the poplars we hung our harps, for there our captors asked for us for songs. Our tormentors demanded songs of joy. They said, "Sing us one of the songs of Zion." How can we sing the songs of the Lord while in a foreign land? Psalms 79, 1 and 8. O God, the nations have invaded your inheritance. They have defiled your holy temple. They have reduced Jerusalem to rubble. Do not hold against us the sins of the fathers. May your mercy come quickly to meet us, for we are in desperate need. That was the last song, not the last page of, sorry, that was the last page of today's reading. Tomorrow we will read well, we will start at page 189. I will now let my sister come out here for her part of the video before I click the stop button. Rain! Oh, well, she's not done, so we'll be right back. Sit right there, sit right there.
I hope you guys enjoyed my brother's reading. Today's Bible verse is, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Number 2.
You want to go show them the pictures?
No. You can show them later. You can show them after. The second one is, come near to me, and he will to you. James 4:8. And the last one is Jesus called out, come follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people. Mark 1:17. Now I'm going to show you the pictures. Number 1. Okay, you can't see that. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. That's it. Bye. Hope you guys had a good day. Goodbye.
Have a very blessed day.
See ya.